The wind screamed through the Montana canyons like a wild animal hunting for warmth to steal. Snow slammed sideways against the cowboy's face, blinding him with every step as he pushed forward, one hand gripping his horse's reins, the other shielding his eyes. He had survived dust storms, gunfights, and droughts, but this northern blizzard was a different kind of enemy. Each breath burned his lungs. His coat, stiff with ice, felt more like frozen bark than leather. He told himself he'd find shelter soon, but in truth, he couldn't see more than a few feet through the swirling white. His horse staggered, hooves disappearing into drifts deeper than the cowboy's knees. The animal snorted with fear, the sound nearly lost under the howling storm. The cowboy cursed softly, knowing if the horse fell now, neither of them would survive the night. He tried to guide them toward a line of shadowed pines, but the ground felt wrong, too soft, too open, too far from anything familiar. He didn't realize he had wandered into tribal winterland, where even seasoned mountain men refused to travel when the snow started rising. A sudden figure broke through the white, small, fast, wrapped in thick furs, and moving with certainty where he barely stayed upright. The cowboy reached for his gun out of instinct, but his numb fingers couldn't grip the handle. Before he could react, the figure caught his arm with surprising strength. Only when the wind shifted did he see her, an Apache woman, snow clinging to her braids, her dark eyes sharp with urgency. She didn't speak English at first. She didn't need to. Her grip said enough. Move or die. He tried to protest, tried to say he had to keep his horse with him, but she pulled him harder, pointing through the storm toward a shape half buried in snow. The shelter looked like nothing more than a mound of earth and branches, but when she lifted the hide flap, warm air, barely warm but alive, brushed against his frozen face. She pushed him inside, then unhooked his horse's reins and drove the animal toward a narrow opening built for livestock. He heard the horse nicker gratefully. The woman followed him in, sealing the outside world behind them. Inside the shelter, the dim firelight flickered across walls of tightly woven willow branches covered with hides. The cowboy dropped to his knees, shivering so violently he couldn't speak. His gloves, stiff with frost, barely moved as he tried to untie them. The woman knelt in front of him, tugging them off one by one. She didn't ask permission. Her people understood winter differently. Mercy first, questions later. When she touched his cheeks, she frowned. His skin felt like stone. She muttered something under her breath, then piled more furs beside the bed of pine needles. He finally found his voice, though it cracked like old wood. "Ma'am, I don't aim to intrude." She shook her head once, decisive. "You die outside," she said, her English thick but clear. She motioned toward the bed, one large sleeping space covered in layered hides. He hesitated, pulling back slightly. That was when she stepped closer, her breath warm despite the cold on her clothing. "Listen," she said, gripping his arms with a firmness that surprised him. "If we don't sleep in the same bed, we freeze tonight. Don't resist." Her tone wasn't suggestive, it was survival. He swallowed, understanding the truth of her words instantly. Two bodies meant shared heat. Shared heat meant life. She wasn't offering affection. She was offering a chance to live until sunrise. He nodded slowly, his pride softening under the weight of common sense and exhaustion. She guided him toward the furs, removing his outer coat before it turned to ice against his skin. When she lay beside him, there was a respectful space at first, but as the cold pressed in around them, necessity drew them closer. Outside, the blizzard roared. Inside, two strangers shared the fragile warmth that kept them alive. The cold inside the shelter thickened with every passing minute, creeping through the seams of the hides like a living thing trying to claim them. The cowboy lay stiffly at first, unsure how close he was allowed to be, but she shifted against him, guiding his arm around her waist with a quiet firmness that startled him. Her breath trembled against his throat, warm and uneven. "Don't resist," she whispered again, though her voice had softened. "It's survival." Wind screamed outside, ice pelting the shelter's hide walls. Inside, the only warmth was the heat of two bodies that barely trusted each other. He felt her heartbeat before he felt her trust. Slow, guarded, then gradually steadying as the hours dragged on. He kept his arm around her gently, afraid to break the fragile peace. She wasn't just warming her body. She was remembering what it meant to be held, even if for necessity. He could feel tension leave her shoulders one breath at a time. When she finally spoke, it was so quiet he almost missed it. "I used to,"